Hey guys! Oh, this is totally like bumping into my ring light and I'm getting this weird little halo thing. I'm Seryna Myers. If you don't already know, I'm assuming if you follow this page, you do. I'm actually having like a cozy day and I needed to come on and have this conversation. Okay, and now the ring light is out of the camera, so that's going to be a whole lot less annoying for you. Okay, so if you don't know me or you're not up on everything that I've been doing lately, I've spent the last 2.5 years writing a book about anger. And I've been writing from a place of someone who has experienced a lot of it in her life, whose nickname from her old boss was Little Ball of Rage, and someone who has really worked hard on not transmuting it, although I did go that path for a while. I really believed that we had to like abolish anger from our language, especially as spiritual people. I'm having some connection issues. Let me see if I can fix. Okay, I've switched over to cellular connection, so hopefully that'll be better. Apologies for that breakup. Okay, so like I said, I'm somebody who had a bit of an angry start at life and who lives life, I wouldn't say anger-free, but definitely much more in tune with my rhythms, with my emotions, and I deal with things as they come up, even though it means sometimes having some awkward, uncomfortable conversations. And you know, when you immerse yourself in a topic enough to write a book about it, the universe is going to present you lots of opportunities to learn that lesson in depth. So, you know, aside from the stuff that I came into this life with, over the last 2.5 years, and certainly the last couple of weeks since I announced the publication date of next year, I've had a lot of irritability, a lot of frustration, and I've gotten pretty angry. I found myself really snappy. And I thought that's really interesting. And when I started having conversations with other people too, they were feeling the same way, but their approach to it was a little bit different. And these are people who I know are like just amazing people, like beautiful souls. They're people who are doing a lot of inner work. They're spiritually committed. They're wonderful parents and they're wonderful partners. And sometimes they get angry. And I think that depending on who you have been learning your spiritual stuff from, there can be a belief that being angry is not spiritual. And that, in fact, if you consider yourself a spiritual person, you should be able to rise above anger. You should always be in a place of love. And I feel like that is like a really beautiful ideal, but I think it's also unrealistic for most of us. When we came into this life, we chose to be human beings. And that means having a human experience. And a human experience is rarely, you know, sunshine and lollipops every single day. And in fact, when we have situations that piss us off and anger us, it also gives us the ability to learn from that, to grow, to look at like, where has this happened to us before? And why does this pattern keep coming up? And when we start to get into these places where we can understand it and almost like step outside of it and analyze it a little bit, we're able to get something out of that anger. It's not something that's happening to us. It's not something that consumes us. It becomes this loving partner that supports our growth. So I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I spent a few hours working on this really beautiful PDF for you guys with 3 different tools of how you can learn to dialogue with anger. Because I think it's really important, but also it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Not everybody's going to be able to use the same tool. So, oh yeah, I just saw. So Kila's here. Teresa says she's pro-anger. Yes, I am also I'm pro-anger. I'm not pro like blowing up your life and being an asshole to everybody, but I'm definitely pro-anger, and I think there's a really big difference there. So I spent a couple of hours putting together this beautiful PDF for you guys. Super excited. I'm very tech savvy. I used to build websites for a living. And for whatever reason, I could not get the landing page for this opt-in to work. And I rage cried yesterday by the end of the day. And I was just like, what is going on here? And it's so funny because like a week ago, there was something else that had me like super ragey. And then a week before that, there was something else. And I've been tapping into this place of rage. Now, during the pandemic, a lot of the rage I've experienced has been that kind of righteous, almost activist rage, the stuff where like you're ready to propel things forward. And this has actually been like disproportionate anger to things that like in the grand scheme of things are not the end of the world. Like a PDF for you guys is not, you know, that's not going to ruin lives if I can't get it out. And I ended up getting it fixed. So like no big deal. I'll send that out to you soon. But it's so interesting to me when these things come up and the judgments that we have about ourselves. And by the time it came, full circle last night, I wasn't, because it had been happening so much lately, I wasn't in that place of I am a huge, piece of crap because I'm angry and yelling at my computer. It's actually really funny because despite how angry I was, the term I kept shouting is from Kennedy from RuPaul's Drag Race. And I kept screaming, well, fuck my drag, which had nothing to do with what I was doing, but it was just this like comical release that really didn't hurt anybody. And so like I'm sitting there like rage typing on my computer going, well, fuck my drag. And how funny, right? Whereas like a week ago when I was in that same angry place, I was like yelling about what it was and then also feeling really bad about myself as a person. So the conversation I had today and a conversation I've been having for the last few days, a really dear friend of mine was talking about the stuff that has been going on in his household and how some people are sick and how he's taking care of everybody. And I said, yeah, you're a good dad. And he was like, am I though? Because like I blew up yesterday. And I was like, yeah, blowing up does not mean you are not a good dad. When you are showing up for your people, when you are showing up with your heart open, when you are in loving service, and I don't just mean as parents, just as people, it's okay to have a bad day. It's okay for it to sometimes be too much. It's okay to scream, fuck my drag at your computer. It doesn't make you any less spiritual. It doesn't make you any less of a good person. It is a part of what we came here to experience. My belief is that as souls, when we're like up in the ethers and we're coming down to heaven, from heaven, we've made this decision to come into this life and to have a human incarnation. We have this like checklist of what we're here to learn. And there are things that are very specific that you can only learn from having a human experience. Otherwise, we would have come as a tree, we would have come as a dog, we would have come as a bird. It doesn't really matter. Whatever it is that we came here to experience was to be experienced in the human form. And along with those lessons comes with the entire human experience, which is an entire range of emotions. And depending on who you are, what you've experienced, what your cultural upbringing is, and all that kind of conditioning that we get, yeah, your degree of expression of those emotions is going to vary. And in fact, overcoming some of that conditioning is a lot of the work that I'm doing right now with people. But it's necessary. It's like literally what you plan to do when you chose this life to live. So to be hard on yourself for having a human emotion, for thinking that you are less great than your magnanimous self, I don't even think that's the word, but your wonderful self, if that is actually like a disservice to your soul that came here to experience anger and everything else. Now, we can talk about losing it, because for some people it's screaming, fuck my drag at their computer. For other people, there's definitely, again, that same spectrum of how we can experience that emotion. And you don't want to be doing it in ways that is like destructive of your relationships or even your property, that's hurting yourself or people around you. You want to be as mindful with your anger as you can be. And that takes some practice, and that takes a lot of digging in and a lot of tools and a lot of inner exploration. But it's possible. And I can tell you it's possible because I'm living it now. Like I said at the start of this broadcast, when I worked in corporate, the CEO of my company nicknamed me Little Ball of Rage. That was literally my nickname. And for the people who know me now, I mean, I'm sure you've seen me pissed off about something at one time or another, but I don't think you would ever refer to me as Little Ball of Rage. Like I'm a pretty collected person for the most part, I would say. And even last night, I was really frustrated with my spouse. And I had this moment where I marched away into the kitchen, having a little steam. And when they came in, I said, look, I'm not ready to talk yet, but when I'm ready, I'll let you know. And then I was able to sit down and list off the things that I was super frustrated with that had accumulated over the day to the point where I needed to remove myself from the room to calm down. And then I apologized after. I said, look, I don't mean to be hurtful. I don't mean to be a dick here, but this is what I'm feeling. And my spouse is just the gentlest soul and was like, you could not have expressed that more eloquently and more respectfully. So it is possible. It is possible to blow off steam, to express your anger, to have this relationship with it where you're not burning everything to the ground around you. It just takes a little bit of time. It takes a lot of willingness. The courage that it takes to be with your anger is no joke. It is, you know, I'm a firm believer in the things that I talk to my coaching clients about. I will never ask you to go somewhere that I'm not willing to go myself. And so I can tell you with experience, it's like, this is not for the faint of heart. But when we feel called to have this full human experience, it's also an invitation to dig into these things more fully. And so to have something like anger be just like this explosive thing, we let off the steam and then it's done. It's not actually done. We haven't learned anything from it. We haven't even really fully experienced it, because we kind of just rushed through the moving it and the getting it out of our body because it's uncomfortable and we don't like how it feels. But when we can form a different relationship with it, we actually get to pull apart all the other lessons that are underneath it that we would miss if we just jumped to the letting it go because it's so uncomfortable to be in. And that is what we came here to learn. We didn't come here to learn how to punch a hole in a wall or to yell at our spouse. We came here to learn what anger has to teach us. And we can't do that so long as we are sidestepping it and bypassing what it actually is, because it doesn't feel good to be with. Oh, Keela has to go. I love you. Okay. So, all of this to say, if you are a regular human person, you are a human being who is also a spiritual being, who has come here and is doing this heart-centered work, who is trying to always be from a place of love. And sometimes you're a dick, and sometimes you're angry, and sometimes you're frustrated. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad partner. It doesn't make you a bad parent. It's part of the process. And that is totally okay. So these 3 tools that I have for talking to anger, and you'll notice that it's like conversations with anger. It's not about like transmuting it or letting it go or releasing it, whatever. I believe that those things are important, but we need to actually talk to anger first. That's kind of like the whole premise of my book even. Those 3 tools are in a PDF that I haven't put out yet. So I'm going to do that literally today. If you're on my email list, I'll also send it to you there, probably tomorrow. So make sure you sign up if you're not already on it. And it's really cool. There are 3 tools that I absolutely love that are part of my own practice that have really transformed my relationship with anger. And it doesn't mean that I don't get angry. I absolutely do. But I recover from it faster. I don't judge myself as harshly. And I actually learn a whole lot through the process about who I am, about what's underneath it, about the patterns that I repeat, and so on. So anyway, I'll make sure I get that out to you. And I just wanted to reassure your tender little heart that, especially during COVID, where we're in lockdown and we're with the same people all day, every day, if you snap, that is okay. You are still a great person, and you are just having a human experience, and that's fine. Okay, so much love to all of you. Take care.